Welcome to the Selling to Corporate podcast, where we're going to be challenging your sales beliefs around selling to corporate organizations and help you increase your bottom line profits every single month. I am Jessica Lorimer, your sales expert and guide in this world of selling to corporate companies, skyrocketing your company sales and making the impact that you really want in the world. Now, don't forget, if you do enjoy the show today, please do head over to iTunes and leave us a review. But enjoy this episode, and I am really looking forward to sharing some epic sales wisdom with you. Happy 2025. I am so excited. It is a new year. I am the same me, and hopefully we are going to embrace the 2025 B2B sales season together. If you are somebody who listened to episodes of Selling to Corporate podcast in 2024, 2023, and even before that, then thank you for joining me on the 2025 journey. I don't know about you, but some of us, myself included, felt like 2024 was about 5 years long. And I'm really ready, in the words of Taylor Swift, to shake it off and get going with a new selling season. And with that, there comes epic changes, exciting new progress, and most importantly for you, some really cool new episodes of the Selling to Corporate podcast. As ever, if there's anything that you would like me to cover in terms of topics, please do write in or email in, because obviously posting is kind of weird in 2025. But please do drop me a little email, jessica@jessicalorimer.com, and let me know what topics you would be most interested in hearing on the podcast. But I've got some really cool things planned, and I'm not going to obviously bombard you with them right in the introductory moment of our first epic, recording together at the beginning of the year. But there are some really, really exciting things coming up, and I cannot wait to get this corporate selling season started. For me, there are loads of exciting things happening this year. We've got 22 spaces left on the C-Suite 2025. So if you are looking for my live support, guidance, and accountability, and you haven't checked out the C-Suite 2025 yet, then you might want to. In fact, you will definitely want to, because it includes not only the amazing portal strategies and literally thousands of templates that service-based entrepreneurs around the globe have used to create literally millions of pounds in revenue, but it also includes in-person implementation days. It includes sprints where you get direct access to me, accountability, support, and guidance, and of course, an all-important, amazing private community where you'll be able to network, generate referrals, and be on the journey with other people who get what it's like to sell B2B. Because there aren't many of us on this crazy B2B sales journey. Everyone else is still flapping around the internet, hoping that they're going to, get clients from dancing on certain social media platforms. Actually, do you know what? That wasn't cool, was it? Let's not start the year slating B2C sales. Everyone just needs to do their own thing. But it does bring me on to an important topic that I am going to be covering later in the quarter on the podcast, which is the trends that are going to be seen in the B2B sales space this year, because it is going to be changing with the rise and influx of new people starting to realize that the corporate sales space is actually super lucrative and really, really impactful. So if you don't want to be somebody who is caught up as the market gets more saturated and you feel like your sales process needs some work to be as efficient and effective as possible without all the influencers coming in and, getting the gigs because, they're doing their thing, then please make sure that you do check out the C-Suite 2025 because it's going to be exciting. But I'm also really excited about other experiences that I'm running this year. So if I am seeing you either in the C-Suite 2025 or at Converting Corporates 2025 this March, or even as part of my boardroom experience this year, then just know I'm really excited about all of it. And I am officially, I don't know, thrilled to be in a new year, which actually doesn't happen to me that often. I'm not usually a new year, new me kind of person. And actually this year, I'm still not new me, new year, new me. I am new year, new you. I'm going to stay my same fabulous sales self and hopefully bring you guys along for the journey and encourage you and create a new generation of epic coaches, consultants, trainers, speakers, and done for you service providers that are successfully selling to corporates in a really streamlined, simple, predictable way so that you're not stressed, overwhelmed, and freaking out about finances. So if that sounds good, stick with the podcast this year. And like I say, if you are interested in improving your sales process or creating the best practice sales process to generate new corporate clients on repeat every single month, then you need to check out the C-Suite 2025 because it's epic. And with that, I'm into the episode. Do you know what? I haven't even had coffee today. And I am pepped and prepped for 2025 and all of the epic recording that I'm going to be doing for the podcast and some of the cool changes that I've been making to our client experiences this year. So maybe that's why I'm so peppy on this particular episode. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about how we can do a little bit of a reset on sales together for the new year, because I think a lot of people really had challenging experiences in 2024 when it came to sales in general, whether that was B2B or B2C. I think that a lot of people had very difficult personal and professional challenges that they experienced in 2024, which really took their toll mentally. And I think that a lot of people are still feeling a little tired, still feeling a little bit of a backlash from 2024. And obviously, if that's the energy that you're taking in to your sales processes in this new year, then it's quite likely that not a lot is going to change. So it's really important for me to have this time with you just to reset our mindsets a little around sales, to do a little bit of troubleshooting together to understand what we can do differently in this brand new 12-month period that we have to create the best possible results, whatever those might be. So let's dig in together, spend some time resetting, and hopefully you will leave this episode feeling just as pepped as I currently do. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that New Year resolutions are not really my thing. I'm not somebody who generally has a word for a year. I've tried it in previous years, but I always forget what it is. And then it goes by the wayside. My squirrel brain is like, my word for the year was what? And then other things happen. So this year, again, I will not be setting any particular words or doing any kind of vision boarding, because that's just not the way that my brain sets goals or retains information. But I do, contrary to popular believe that having goals and setting them in the way that works for you is an integral part of your sales journey, because it's kind of like getting in a car without having a destination planned. The car doesn't just get up and drive itself to the place that you sort of want to go in your mind's eye without you doing certain things. You have to push down the clutch, you have to input the data into the sat nav, you have to follow the directions, and then eventually, miraculously, you end up at your destination. And I think for 2024, a lot of people had forgotten to set clear goals. And that actually really impacted the results for a lot of people, because a lot of people weren't happy with their results last year. And a lot of the people that I spoke to said that they weren't happy with their results because they didn't feel like they'd hit a target. And when I questioned what their target was, an awful lot of people said they didn't know. They didn't have one. They just thought it would feel different. So one of the things that I always start the new year with when I look at my sales goals and how I want to set my year up for success is to set really clear targets for myself. And some of the categories that I look at are things like revenue, things like average transaction value, things like number of clients. And other things are things that I think will benefit my general life outside of work. So things like working hours per week, things like personal goals. So this year, obviously, I'm running another marathon. Expect to hear lots about that. And things that are just going to make me a better person. So this year, again, I'll be continuing my Duolingo streak. If anyone else is on Duolingo learning French, hit me up, because so far I'm on like 226 days and feeling very proud of myself. But also committing to my daily practice around exercise, around gratitude journaling, and things that actually just make my life more pleasant. So if you haven't yet set your goals, intentions, targets, whatever it is that you prefer to call them for 2025, please do, especially when it comes to sales, and actually sit down and spend clear time doing that. Because so often we can rush through these goals and just say, yeah, I want to make six figures, or I want to make multi six figures. I want to have hundreds of clients. I want to do loads of speaking gigs, without actually thinking about the knock-on impact of those things and whether that's actually what we want or whether that's what somebody else wants. So for me, some of the work areas that I'm going to be focusing on this year are going to be things like being more strategic with, or being even more strategic with some of the sales activities that I'm doing, so that I can streamline my time and working hours each week and focus really hard on working 20 hours a week. It's been a goal of mine for a long time, but it's not one that I've prioritized. And last year I spent an awful lot of time doing and measuring my sales activity, just like I tell you guys to do, and have finally figured out the numbers that I need to hit in order to be able to have the revenue that I want in the hours that I want to work. And for me, that feels really exciting, and it feels tangible. And most importantly, it feels controllable because I have the data available, because I'm able to work to metrics. And that might not be data or metrics that you have accessible to you right now. Again, if you are somebody who's listening and you are also in the C-suite, remember to go and check out modules on troubleshooting your sales process and setting metrics and things, because those can really help you set those goals up for success and just set those SMART goals that are going to actually feel real, and that you can commit to for the year ahead. So that's the first thing, is if you're not, or you haven't set your goals for 2025 as it relates to sales, your work life, your personal life yet, please make sure you do, because it's very, very unlikely that you're going to hit them or feel any better or more in control of them if you have none to start with. Okay. And especially if you've had a tough year, I know it can feel really difficult to be like, I've had a tough year. Let me put these goals in place. They're basically just a pipe dream. So what's the point in doing anything towards them? But if you don't have those goals and dreams, then you're not likely to put any sales activities, metrics, or energy into achieving them. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to touch on in this episode was how easy it is to go into the year feeling flat. You know, I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that lots happened for people in 2024. And I think that we should acknowledge that, you know, it wasn't an easy year for a lot of people. What I also want to acknowledge, though, is how we choose to show up and feel in 2025 is also a choice. And it's an opinion of mine that makes me relatively nervous to share, because I think that sometimes when we talk about how we choose to do things, or taking ultimate responsibility, accountability, and ownership of our decision making, of the way that we feel, of the way that we show up, it's really natural for people, including me, to feel defensive about the fact that we've probably done the best that we could in certain situations. I know that for me, there were times in 2024, particularly around bereavement and things that I didn't have control over, that at the time I did exactly what I could to protect my mindset, to be resilient through those events. But in 2025, I don't want to carry those events into my sales process. I want them to stay in a little box. That'd be really helpful, wouldn't it? But I want them to stay away from tarnishing the sales experiences that I go on to create this year. And I think that sometimes when we think about taking full ownership and accountability and responsibility for what we do, how we show up, how we feel, we can feel like some of it's out of our control. And actually, a lot of it isn't. Some of the things that I found that have really helped me over the years in terms of my sales mindset are things that are really, really simple. Every day I get up and I write in my gratitude journal every single day. I've done it for years. And I appreciate that some people might think, oh gosh, Jess, it's a bit woo for you. But I like it because it sets my day up for success. It's one of those things that reminds me, even when times feel very difficult, how much I have to be grateful for. And sometimes that's just a walk in the sunshine after work, right? But I think for me, it puts me in the right frame of mind. I also know that every day that I get up and I exercise first thing, I'm much more positive and feel much clearer about the day ahead. So for me, I like to get up, go for a walk, get out for a run, whatever it is that I need to do. Not because I necessarily enjoy those things. I still hate running, but because it puts me in a better, more focused place for the day ahead and helps me get my tasks done in the most efficient and effective way possible. And the final thing that I think might be helpful for you guys to understand, because I get a lot of people who email and say, Jess, it's all right for you because you're just really confident. You don't worry about anything. You're not worried about rejection. Those are things that I really practice. And, one of the ways that I practice being resilient around rejection, for example, is by putting myself out there to get rejected an awful lot. I would wager that out of the community that I've built over the last 10 years, I probably get rejected a lot more than most people because I do a lot more sales activity. I put myself in positions where people can tell me no regularly, and people regularly do. So I think one of the things that we have to look at this year is not just what strategies are we taking in for our sales process and how are we revamping that, but also how are we equipping our sales mindset this year? Are we taking full responsibility, accountability, and ownership for how we feel and what we choose to do about it? And that really doesn't mean just carrying on if you've got a huge problem or you have a family issue or a real challenging period. It means how can you cultivate your bounce back ability? Because it's that bounce back ability, which isn't a word, but I'm going to own, that makes the grade between good salespeople and great salespeople, right? Because the best salespeople are not the ones that nail it every time in terms of knowing what to say or being able to predict every single outcome that's ever going to happen in a sales process or in a business. They're the ones that are confident to know that whatever happens, they will overcome, they will adapt, they will be resilient, they will triumph in the face of adversity. And I think we all need a little bit of that in 2025. The other thing that I want you to think about when we're talking about sales mindset for 2025 is what we're prioritizing. So for me, just in case this helps you, I'm prioritizing or continuing to prioritize transparent and empowering sales communication that helps my prospects make informed decisions. Now, you'll note that that doesn't say, be really nice to people so that they know, like, and trust me and hope that they buy. It's quite a different vibe. And it's one that I've kept up for a number of years because I'm tired of hearing the whole, salespeople are pushy, salespeople are sleazy, salespeople are annoying. I'm just not interested in hearing anymore. And I'm going to be really open about that in places and talk about the fact that actually sales is a job, and salespeople who are doing their job, you, me, other salespeople, we might not always get it right every time. But as long as we're aiming to be transparent in our communication, as long as we're aiming with the best of intentions to help our prospects make the best decision for them, then actually, should we should we get this really bad name and this bad rap? I don't think that that's true. And so for me this year, it's really important that my mindset is not worrying what other people think about salespeople, but that it is actually focusing on creating the best outcomes for my prospective clients. And sometimes that will be that they end up being a client of mine. And sometimes it will be that it's not the right time to work together. And either way, I'm okay. I'm detached from the outcome, but I want to make that a priority in my sales mindset. Next, I'm focusing on ignoring the noise. So I don't know about you, but social media is, it's just a drain. I don't really know what else to say about it, and I don't want to give a ton of energy to it, to be honest. But for me, one of the key realizations that I had over 2024, where I did spend a lot of time experimenting, because you and I know that I love to experiment and see what I can do differently and what I can measure so that I can know what's making the most impact. I spent time on social media and I ended up feeling deflated about a lot of it. I ended up feeling a little bit of comparisonitis, which you might not expect from me because obviously I have my great bounce back ability. And I ended up feeling really frustrated at a lot of things. I was frustrated by the amount of plagiarism. I was frustrated by the vast number of really qualified people who felt like they had to be someone else on LinkedIn or show up a million times a minute to create tons of free content unpaid. I was frustrated by the larger thought leaders in the content creation space who have seemingly forgotten in all of their wisdom and advice around you must be approachable and you must have people connect with you and you must create free all the time to give value. They've forgotten that they're now paid to be thought leaders. And I'm tired of feeling like I have to compete with that or that I have to contribute to that noise. So for me this year, it's very much about ignoring the noise. It's being really intentional about where I spend time. And for me, that time is going to be best spent here on the podcast, on my newsletter, creating intentional content regularly, but not every day, on LinkedIn, which is the only social media platform that I intend to use. And going back to my Substack article writing roots, to be honest, those are the places that I intend to be. And for me, that feels good. I'm also going to be focusing on that idea of being more transparent and empowering in my communication, which actually means that there will be times where I'll be a lot more direct, and potentially that will challenge people to change their beliefs, their perceptions, their behavior. And also sometimes people will be upset by that. And for me, I'm okay with that because it's an opportunity to practice that resilience and rejection muscle. And then finally, I'm staying focused on the experiences I'm already booked to deliver. Nothing gives me joy like client work. I really, really enjoy what I do. I love the moment that it clicks to somebody, that they see how sales can be different or how that particular aspect of sales can be different and interesting and empowering and fun. And for me, I'm already booked in for a bunch of corporate work in Q1. I'm really excited to be working with some exciting organizations in the sports tech space. I'm booked in to deliver an epic 2025 planning retreat for a few special clients of mine. I'm excited to deliver the C-Suite 2025 experience and converting corporates, and to work with my boardroom mentees on an even deeper, more strategic level. All of those things are exciting to me. And I feel like staying focused on those, staying focused on the joy, means that I will want to create more of those experiences. So if you're listening and you're somebody who's maybe been a bit afraid of succeeding in the past because you're worried that if you succeed, you'll end up with too many clients, too much overwhelm, just too much going on, pare it back and start trying to flip the switch and think about how much you enjoy those experiences, and how you can be more intentional about what you create, how you can run a sales process that allows you to create those experiences without overwhelm, and how you can use other sales tools, things like waitlists, which do work for B2B sales, believe it or not, to protect your time outside of work as well as your revenue inside of work. Okay. And then finally, I think we all need to think about what we can choose to do differently this year. I know that this episode's been a lot of mindset-y type stuff, but I think that there are practical things that we also need to do in order to set the very best goals and intentions and activities for the year ahead. And the first one of those is to think about troubleshooting 2024. Now, there'll be some things that you couldn't control about 2024, personal, professional challenges that might have been completely unexpected. Completely get it. But there'll be other things that actually you would have had more control over. And I want you to just sit back objectively, not using it as an opportunity for self-criticism, but as an opportunity to think what went well last year and what didn't. And most importantly, what are you genuinely committed to changing this year? So when you think about those things, don't just think, oh, well, I didn't make the money I wanted last year. Think, okay, I didn't make the money that I'd have liked to have made last year. Why was that? Well, I was caught up in too much delivery and didn't prioritize any business development. So what am I genuinely committed to this year? Well, if I want to make more revenue and not be as reactive, I have to be committed to doing the activity business development wise that is going to get me clients predictably, and also potentially manage client expectations and pricing so that I have that time bookmarked and so that it is a non-negotiable. If you're somebody who thinks, okay, well, what went well last year? I really loved the clients that I worked with. And when you're thinking what didn't, but I didn't like the money I made, well, you might find that you're genuinely committed to raising your prices this year. Now, if you're thinking, oh gosh, Jess, I'm just not really sure where to start with this troubleshooting, drop me an email or a message on LinkedIn and ask me for the New Year sales audit. It's completely free. I will send you a little troubleshooting guide. You can then use it to troubleshoot what you could work on this year. You can use it to identify your areas of strength. And most importantly, you can find out what you're committing to changing as a matter of priority in terms of the areas of your sales process that need work and when. So if you have not troubleshooted your B2B sales process in 2024 and you didn't achieve the results that you wanted, or you just thought that you would do better than you have, please drop me, like I say, an email or a message on LinkedIn and ask for the New Year sales audit. It's completely free, but you will have to ask yourself some direct questions and, most importantly, go on and take that commitment into the rest of this year and do something about it if you want to see changes. Okay. And then finally, I want you to practically think about what you say you want and where you're spending your time. This is something that I aggressively focused on when I was setting my goals for 2025 in terms of my sales, business, and overall professional goals. And I kept thinking to myself, well, I say that I want to achieve a specific goal. For me, actually, I looked at a running goal that I had last year. I was like, I say that I want to be able to get back to running 10 miles in 1 hour 35. And what I'm actually doing about that is nothing. So yes, I'm still running. And yes, I had injuries last year that were unexpected. But have I been doing the tempo and interval runs that I should have been doing? No. Have I been focusing on making time to make that goal a priority? No, I haven't, if I'm honest with myself, which was uncomfortable. And I did that aggressively in my sales process and client delivery process and just overall business as well. And there were some things that actually I was quite surprised by. I said that I wanted to have more genuine connection with people last year. And I actually wanted to increase my audience and the amount of people that I was connected to last year. And when I looked at what I was doing, where I was spending my time to achieve that, what I found was, I hadn't set myself a number. I hadn't said, I want to increase my network by X percent or by X number or to a specific number. So that made it harder because over the year, of course, I did expand my network. I did expand the amount of people that I was having conversations with and connecting with. But I also looked at, when I thought about what I was spending my time on, I looked at what I had created and I was like, oh, I focused on the amount of times that I showed up and not necessarily having that clear focus on who I wanted to talk to and actually focusing hard on that instead of looking at, oh, well, I'll put out these nice things and people will like them and that'll be cool. Essentially, I got sucked in, right? I got sucked into the social media hamster wheel that I talk about not getting sucked into. And for me, what was interesting when I looked at that was, well, what I say I want is deeper connection. I want sales that are meaningful and impactful. And I want to connect with those people that feel the same way as me. And the places that I found that surprised me. I found that I was making these genuine, impactful sales when I was working with the companies that I love. I found that I was connecting on a more human level with the entrepreneurs inside the C-suite that I was already working with, who were motivated and excited about achieving their goals and who showed up and gave themselves public accountability to do the work. I found that I was getting more joy out of those things than getting a certain amount of followers on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. So I think that it's important to just settle yourself in. And if you want to feel excited about this year, really think about your goals objectively. What is it that you say you want? And what are you actually spending your time on? Because there are a few myths that I know we talk about on the podcast quite a lot that some of you are really buying into, just like me. So don't take that as oh, well, Jess, you're not perfect. You did it too. Like, I know, I'm okay with that. But I think sometimes, I'm seeing a lot of you say, I want to sell workshops to corporate companies at a premium price, but I don't want to do proactive outreach. Well, that's a problem. I'm seeing people who say, I want to have a streamlined, measurable and predictable sales process, but I post on social media instead of measuring my sales activities because it feels more comfortable. I'm seeing people who say, I want to make thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars in B2B sales, but I don't anticipate or expect to spend anything on my own B2B sales development. Now, there's no judgment from me about any of those things. Like I say, I'm not the perfect person. I'm not the perfect business owner, but you can, just like me, see the difference in that. So do take a minute to think, what do I say I want? What am I actually spending time on? And what am I prepared to do in order to change? And if the answer is nothing, that is totally fine. That is totally your choice. But just be aware that nothing changes unless you do. And this year, 2025, the year of, in all honesty, possibility and hope, because the rest of the years for 2020 have been a bit naff. I think that there's lots and lots of opportunity for people who are prepared to take full ownership, accountability, and responsibility for where they are and for where they want to go. And I'm really, really hoping that I'll get to meet a lot of you in person this year at various events, whether they're my own or whether they're events that I'm speaking at, whether it's here on the podcast, on the newsletter, or on LinkedIn, who knows? But if you are somebody who is ready to get excited, ready to get motivated, ready to let go of all of the meh of 2024, then let's do this together. Let's actually take action. Let's look at how we got here to where we are, and let's look at how we get to the next step, whatever that looks like for you. I hope that you are starting the year really strong. I'm excited to come back with some epic episodes this year, including episodes with case studies from our awesome participants inside the C-suite, episodes around the foundational requirements that your sales process needs to have this year, and of course, the key trends and insights and emergent situations that come up. But more importantly, I wish you the absolute best, happiest, healthiest, and awesome revenue-focused year possible. I'll see you in a couple of weeks where we'll be talking about B2B newsletters and how you can use them to create more corporate sales calls in your life. See you on the flip side.